First time in a long time, but back like I never left. Taking each day as it comes, you know me, I don't read ahead. Watch me burn down everything, BDE on the TV set. When I'm in control on the road, you could never really know what's up next.
Hello, Braden Herrington here with John Siino Mercy on the NXT No Mercy post show. First of all, happy birthday, John Siino. How are you?
Thank you. I'm good. I'm feeling a little bit older, but I'm very happy to be spending my birthday here talking about NXT on a Saturday night. And of course, who would I rather spend my birthday with than one half of the BDE, one half of the Poisonrana crew, Braden Herrington.
Yes, I hope your birthday's been all right thus far. You got to watch some wrestling, and what else could you ask for, really? Did you get to do something during the day? Maybe you could go out after.
I mean, earlier in the week, I went to a concert. I went to go see Nas and Wu-Tang here at Barclays Center. So that was pretty cool. Yeah. I had like amazing seats, so that was pretty cool. Earlier today, I went to go see the new Saw movie, Saw 10. So yeah, nothing better than spending a birthday by watching, body parts get taken out. Your mic might be muted there, Braden.
I'm pretty jealous of your concert. That sounds pretty awesome. I know they're here. Nas and Wu-Tang are here tomorrow night, and I know Wei is going to that. So you're filling in double duty this weekend.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually looking at my concert, and I was like, oh, it's on the 27th. I guess I have to miss Dynamite that night. And I'm like, oh, I wonder when the Toronto show is. And it's like, oh, it's Sunday, October 1st. And I'm like, hey, Wei, did you realize that the show you're going to is the same night as Wrestle Dream? And he's like, all right, you want to fill in for me? So we played a little bit of musical chairs. He filled in for me today on Collision Course. I filled in for Davie Portman. And then tomorrow I'll be filling in for Waiting on Wrestle Dream. And then next week I'll be filling in for John Pollock on Fastlane. So a lot of moving parts here.
Holy, you're the workhorse. You're the true workhorse champion, the IC title, the North American title, you're just going. And on top of that, like sometimes I think to myself, man, I watch a lot of wrestling. You watch like maybe 3 times that because you are the completest John Siino evil. So always a pleasure to have you here. And I hope we can have a even more fun birthday for you. If I was in New York with you, I'd hit the club with you tonight. No guarantee, no, questions asked. But alas, we'll have to wait for Philly.
We'll do it in Philly. We'll see another workhorseman there. Speaking of horses and working, Mr. Dickie Bird also celebrating a birthday today.
Oh, so, yes.
Shout out to Dick. A lot of birthday todays. Cameron Grimes, Swerve Strickland. There's a lot of December 30th birthdays, I feel like.
Oh, yes. Happy birthday to the Mad Aussie, the Ginger Dickie Bird. WH just celebrated a birthday, too. Yeah. All the birthdays in the post-wrestling community. And, hey, thanks for joining us here. It's Saturday night. We're live on the post-wrestling YouTube. Super chats are welcomed. And I'll give them to Siino so he can buy himself something nice for his birthday. But instead, maybe just buy your son some Roblox. Because I was listening to you on What Up, Doe, and I heard your son Zoe is a fan of the Roblox. I don't even know what Roblox is, but apparently it's popular.
Yeah, it's you know what I prefer over like Fortnite or anything else with too many guns. It's feel like it's like a Minecraft game, creative type game. They're porting it over to the PlayStation 5 now, so he'll be playing that. And just the other day, I scored us some tickets to Comic-Con. It's going to be Lorenzo's first ever New York Comic-Con, so he's definitely looking forward to that. Every year, he bugs me about going. And I was like, let me wait till you're a little bit older because it could get a little bit hectic in there. And I was like, you know what? It's a good year. We'll go on a Sunday. We'll go on family night, and we'll check out Comic-Con. So right now, he's pretty much trying to, figure out a costume to wear. He wants to cosplay at Comic-Con. So we're trying to think of some ideas. I know you and Davey as well have been getting some Halloween ideas.
I mean, yeah, October 1st, tomorrow, pay your rent, folks, but also spooky season officially. It means I'm allowed to get a pumpkin spice latte tomorrow. It means you're allowed to watch all the horror movies and celebrate spooky season in the best way possible because that's my favorite time of year. Absolutely. So maybe you got to think of those costumes. Me and Davey have figured out our Halloween costumes this year, and they're going to be pretty good, as they usually are. But yeah, I got how long do you have again? Because I'm trying to think of a father-son combo costume. You should do some wrestlers.
We got a couple weeks. We got about 2 weeks or so. Yeah, we could do like the wrestling route, I guess. I mean, the normal thing would be like Mandalorian and Bane Grogu. I guess we can do that, but I don't know. I feel like that's kind of like a couple years past now. I'm trying to think of something a little bit more current. We started watching this movie. We actually started spooky season a little bit early. We started watching this movie called Slaughterhouse, which is about a killer sloth. Yeah, it sounds just as crazy as you might think.
What the hell?
So maybe he'll dress up as a sloth, as a killer sloth running around.
I was a sloth for Halloween one time. I went the cheap route and was a sloth onesie, and it was super comfortable. And it got a lot of compliments. But I felt like it's my spirit animal, so that's not a bad idea.
You might want to check this movie out. It's about these girls at a sorority house, and one of them wants to like adopt a sloth to get like her likes up on Instagram, and it's pretty ridiculous, but it's right. Definitely like a fun Halloween movie. It's that time of the year when you kind of stack up on movies, whether it's like new movies you never seen before or the old Halloween classics.
Oh yeah. Spooky season's definitely in full effect. I'm going to be checking out some more spooky movies. Me and Davie got a whole October schedule of spooky reviews, a classic Halloween Havoc, and I know we'll be doing our free review of Halloween 6 as we are finally at the last one before like a whole kind of reboot there. But yeah, lots of spooky stuff coming here and lots of NXT because wrestling never stops. Davie is working hard tonight, but we love you. He'll be live tomorrow on the Poisonrana feed. Check him out 2 p.m. And then we're going to have a bunch of boys over to watch Wrestle Dream, which I'm super excited about. So every other weekend's a super big wrestling weekend, it seems like, because we got Fastlane next week as well, which should be pretty good. So lots and lots of stuff. It never, ever ends, and there's never enough wrestling because more is more. But after a good show like tonight, No Mercy, I'm okay with that. Sometimes it's okay being a fan. And you know what, people? It's okay to like NXT again. You don't have to pretend it's not cool to just hate on it. If you don't watch it, you'll never know that there could be some good stuff, including the show we watched tonight. Is that right?
I absolutely agree. A lot of these people you can see probably like show up on AEW the next week and have like a amazing all-star match, but because like they're having these matches on NXT, I feel like a lot of people aren't talking about it, which is unfair to them. Obviously they still have the 2.0 stink on it, but like you got some of the best wrestlers in the world over here in NXT. We'll be talking about some of them tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess we can just jump into this because there's a lot to talk about. The PLE of WWE NXT No Mercy, and they did put out the cold open a few days ago, but we can talk about it here, which starts off with the classic N64 retro, like No Mercy video game, but it's in the styles of like NXT, and it's like press start, and it's like the whole intro to the original video game, but now with like NXT. And then when it goes through the characters, it goes over like the graphics were just like the N64 graphics, and it like shows us the match cards and everything. This blew my mind. This broke the wrestling internet for a little while yesterday and the day before. But yeah, what'd you think of this?
This was great. As soon as I saw it and I pressed play and I saw like the cartridge, I knew exactly what we were gonna get ourselves into. And it's really cool, like how they actually kept like not the same music, but you had Vic Joseph kind of doing the same like Diggity Dog over that. It was like a mixture of like the new song with the old song.
Yeah, was it Vic? I swear they used the sample of Vic from weeks ago. I swear it sounded just like him, but Diggity Dog. Yeah.
And then you had like they were showing all the different characters you could choose, and it showed like classic like alumni NXT wrestlers, like a Finn Balor was like mixed in there as well with like the newer ones. And obviously something like this is not easy to make. So whoever thought of this idea and they actually approved it, kudos to you, because this is something that's long overdue. And shout out to the guy in the crowd who had like a N64 style like sign, but with like the current wrestlers redoing the cover of No Mercy for Nintendo 64. So I like how they actually like were able to embrace it after all these years, all these No Mercy pay-per-views. They never actually embraced the video game till now, but I feel like NXT is the right show to do it. You got your retro throwback things like in your house and Halloween Havoc, so you kind of have to do it with No Mercy as well.
It's pretty cool. I love playing this game as a kid. N64 is my favorite. I know people think it's the best of all time. I do think I prefer Here Comes the Pain to be a negative Nancy, but here, like, No Mercy to some is like the goated wrestling game. And look at like I haven't played too much the AEW game, but I know they take a lot from that, like the game engine and stuff, right? So it is interesting that people still love to mod it and play it even on their emulators and everything. Like, it's just like, I know wrestlers love to play No Mercy still. So this was pretty cool for them to finally like bring in that retro feel to it. It was a pretty good video game. I feel like No Mercy, the game, had like weird things in it, like referees as characters with multiple. You could always have multiple attires and all this stuff, but yeah, retro, meaning this game is now so old, meaning I'm realizing that I myself am also growing old.
Yeah.
When N64 is retro, considered like vintage gaming, I'm like, man.
Yeah, it's gonna get there.
Yeah.
If WWE really wanted to stick it to like Fight Forever, they could have easily like released this game as like a little like, you know, DLC or something, just a little like nothing too crazy, but just something to kind of get people to play No Mercy, but like with the actual current NXT roster, or at least who was on this show, would have been kind of a cool little thing to do. Did you hear that the WWE 2K22 servers are already taking them down? I feel like every year, quicker and quicker they take down the previous year's servers. So they want everybody to jump onto 2K23 already. Usually it takes a couple years before they take down the servers, but I heard that 2K22 is already going to be taken down.
Oh, that's kind of sad. You put all your time and work into creating stuff, but I get it. They move on in with the new and stuff. But yeah, I haven't picked up AEW, but we have 2K23, and that was pretty good. AEW was fun for the few games I tried, but I also don't game too much. But I don't know. It seemed like it was fun, but I could see people getting. I heard your review and a few others very similar that wears thin pretty quick and doesn't have diggity dog. Diggity dog. Well, the cold open for No Mercy was pretty awesome, and then we kick things off here. No Mercy 2023 in Bakersfield, California. Where is this? You were just in California, weren't you?
Yeah, but I feel like this is more, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, chat room. I feel like this is more like Southern California. I could be wrong, but like it doesn't, I looked it up and it doesn't seem close to like other, like it's not close to Los Angeles or anything else, I feel like. So maybe like a little bit more further south. I'm looking up right now. So it's north of Los Angeles. Okay. So it's a little close to Los Angeles, I guess you can say, but not the most like talked about town, I guess, like, coming out of California.
In the Mechanics Bank Arena, we have NXT No Mercy, and we start off with Vic Joseph. If the diggity dog didn't do it enough for you, Vic Joseph with the California line in the state that's untouchable, like Alien S. Shout out Tupac, shout out Dr. Dre, and clearly we got to shout out Tupac.
Yeah, pretty timely here, right?
Yeah, obviously with
pretty
the whole
timely
news that
with the arrest of. Supposedly, I mean, so it's a guy who's been like involved for the longest time, so he's always been like a suspect, I guess. Yeah, for him to kind of start the show with the untouchable like Elliot Ness, and he kept sprinkling like the rap lines to the point where Booker T is like, "I got to give you some respect, dog," for all these like rap lines. And Vic was like, that. "Finally, Vic, you can tell
finally,
Vic
I got the respect."
Vic was happy he finally got the props from Booker T.
Yeah. The thing with the Tupac shooter is the guy who actually shot him, I think, is actually dead. But the guy who was driving admitted it like on a podcast or something a few years ago. And that's what led to now his like arrest and everything. It's like, damn, so it happens. Don't say anything that can, put you behind bars on this podcast, Siino. We start things off with our opening matchup, Big Lads Wrestling, Big Bad Braun Breaker versus Baron Corbin. It's the big dog versus the ship burner. And the big dog is indeed because Braun Breaker comes out with a giant big dog head.
Yeah, it reminded me of like Mantar. I know he passed away recently. Rest in peace to Mantar. But he had like that giant like helmet. I think like didn't like Sammy Guevara had one for a panda as well. But this is supposed to be like
just recently. Yes, Jericho brought that up recently. Yeah.
Like, I know it's supposed to be like a dog, but it looked more like a wolf, I guess, which is kind of weird because he's fighting somebody who used to be called the Lone Wolf. So it's a little bit like all over the place. But yeah, definitely an interesting choice here to come out with like this dog helmet mask thing that he came out with.
Yeah, like I laughed at it at first, and I'm like, okay, like it's kind of cool, but it's also he kind of could be confused as a furry. But I don't know. I did laugh at it, but I'm like, he tried something. People will be talking about it. It's fun. It's cool. Big dog. He's got to get the whole uniform next time. But yeah,
I felt I feel like Halloween Havoc like came early because you had Braun Breaker as Mantar, and then you had the next guy coming out as the American Badass Mark Calloway over here.
Was it Mark Calloway or was it Ghost Rider as Baron Corbin makes his entrance on a motorcycle, comes down to the ring looking all badass to burn the ships. This is the most badass Baron Corbin's ever looked, really, coming down to the ring on a motorcycle. And This match starts off with Booker on one tonight, as per usual, saying no bread, no water. What is it, Siino?
Just meat.
And these two start to fight each other, and Corbin's like, I'm not going to come get you. You come get me. So Braun does that. There's a huge tope Carrillo taking him out. They start to brawl around the ringside. Eventually, there's like a leg drop on a table there. The commentary team goes down. It goes quiet for a few minutes as the two lads are just wrestling here. Pretty funny. Like, there's just no Booker and no Vic. And then finally they come back. They're like, hey, sorry about that after a few minutes. The two guys are in the ring and they're hitting huge clotheslines to each other. Braun goes for another one, but gets caught into the deep six for a near fall. Then there's Corbin, who's back trying to get Braun through the table. And eventually he does and puts him through the commentary table with like a choke slam through it kind of thing. But then Braun just kind of gets back up, very super villain-esque, because he's like undefeatable, like a monster in a horror movie, gets back up and just runs at Corbin and spears him yet again. And then when they get back in the ring, Mr. Robert Stone shows up on the top turnbuckle and kind of distracts Braun here. So Braun basically throws this guy into a million security jobber cops hanging ringside. And then he turns around and he's met with an end of days and kind of an upset here. Baron Corbin beats Braun Breaker in 9 minutes and 33 seconds. Damn. What did you think?
Yeah, it was an okay opener. Nothing too crazy. I expected like maybe some involvement from Vaughn, but they obviously kept it in your mind.
Yeah, what the hell? Stone. Where was Vaughn?
So I'm not sure if they're trying to save him for like the big surprise. Maybe they're saving him for like Halloween Havoc, and he comes back as like instead of Frankenstein's monster, he's like Mr. Stone's monster, and he kind of comes back, kind of like stealing PCO's gimmick. Maybe that'll be the thing that they want to do for Halloween Havoc, maybe. But the match was okay. Like the independent Cali wrestlers definitely got their payday today, taking all those bumps as security on the outside. But yeah, the match was fine. Like I was a little surprised as well by the finish. Especially if you want to like hype up Braun versus Vaughn, right? That's like the match that you're obviously leading to. But now with kind of Corbin getting the win out of nowhere, it kind of like throws a little wrench in the plans, I feel like.
Yeah, kind of weird. Like, actually, I'm not a huge fan of Baron Corbin. I feel like, I say this all the time, I feel like he's a great guy in real life, but when it comes to wrestling, his characters are always just really bland, and his wrestling doesn't do too much for me. But he is a bigger guy, and him and Braun were like giving it to each other, using the table spots. It did have my attention. It was pretty fun. But I am just selfishly like, yo, where was Vaughn? He should have came out and powerbombed both these guys and then setting up for something else. Like teasing it with Stone just wasn't enough for me, and kind of shocking that Corbin wins. So I imagine we get Corbin Dragunov sooner than later for the NXT title as well down the line, hopefully just for TV special. But yeah, a fun opener, and people got the table spots and people were kind of happy, but kind of weird that Corbin's just here in NXT. I'm kind of already over. I'm kind of over him.
Think it was maybe they lead to like a rematch where like Braun goes totally berserk on Baron and kind of does the same thing with the steel steps and maybe writes off Baron out of NXT, and then this is the way to bring Vaughn back in to kind of like stop him at the end. But yeah, I feel like with the Halloween Havoc coming up, I feel like that might be a good time to reintroduce the new Vaughn, whatever the new look he's gonna have.
Titanium Von Wagner.
I like that. Like the new iPhone, the iPhone 15, but it'd be like Vaughn 15. Titanium. Yeah, the iPhone 15.
The iPhone Pro Max.
The Pro Max, the Von Wagner Pro Max.
Von Pro. He's the Terminator gimmick, clearly.
There we go.
And he'll team with Dijak. Yeah, NXT's great, guys. We go to Becky Lynch, the NXT Women's Champ. She's showing up here for her big match, the main event here tonight, the Extreme Rules, as Tiffany is showing up too. They're getting ready for their match. We see earlier tonight on the kickoff show, there was Bea Priestley. What's her name? Blair Davenport. Yep. Defeated Kalani Jordan in a match, and then Gigi came out and attacked her, which set up a match for this week on NXT on Tuesday. But we saw Trick and Mello Gang, Trick Williams and Carmelo Hayes earlier tonight, and they are being interviewed, and they're talking about how we know we look good, and basically that tonight, Mello's going to defend the title, Trick's going to win some gold, and both of them are going to be champions and looking even better tonight. So they feel like tonight is their night in California. Then they're going to go party and start doing the California love. Some more Tupac and Dre here. But will their prophecy come true? I don't think they hit the club tonight. Something tells me. I don't
think so. No.
Yeah, they didn't make it. We have our next match, which is Trick Williams taking on the North American champion for the title, Dominik Mysterio, who is mommyless. He's just a lost little kid in a grocery store here with no mommy, no Judgment Day. And it's just Trick one-on-one with Dominic. And the past few weeks, the past few months, Trick Williams has totally improved and stepped up from what we've seen before. And the whole storyline has been getting even better. Obviously, this match was supposed to be Ali versus Dom. He's gone. Shawn Michaels made it clear, hey, I was kind of pissed at that. We wanted him. But instead, they kind of went with this Trick Williams thing. And on TV in the past few weeks, Trick has just been super over with the local audience and Booker T. And here, this was the real test. I thought California, Bakersfield showed up. They were totally doing the whoop that Trick and Booker doing the ad-libs again. I was getting hyped. I was laughing. Yeah, this is great.
This crowd, you got to give it to this crowd. This crowd was pretty rowdy for the entire show. Even in the opener match, they gave Kalani Jordan a pretty good reaction. So they definitely know who their baby faces and their heels are. But yeah, as soon as he came out with the entrance, it felt like this guy's a star. Like Trick, I like Trick from day one. Honestly, I knew something was special about him. Like his wrestling wasn't always there, but as soon as he talked on the mic, you knew this guy was a star. But then his wrestling started getting really good to the point where you're like, this guy's like the full package right now. And then when he comes out to like this, like, you know, this foreign crowd to NXT wrestlers, and you got Booker T doing the ad libs, and he comes out with like this, you know, Rocky Dwayne The Rock Johnson type of shirt that he's wearing and everything. Like he just looks like a star. And going against somebody like Dom, who has like the ultra heel heat, I think was a very good test for Trick. Even if it wasn't audible and he wasn't originally slated to be in this match, I think he definitely capitalized every inch that he was given.
Yeah, the crowd were just so loud. The theme song and the whoop that Trick is something that will definitely get over even more so, because people like to chant and sing things in wrestling. We like to have a good time. And if you give people a good time, it helps.
We have Brian Michael was actually live at the arena, so he's giving us a couple updates throughout the night. He said that whoop that Trick went hard as we were so hyped. So the crowd there in Bakersfield were definitely ready to see Trick Williams.
Yes, thank you, Brian, in the chat. I hope you had a fun night. Well, it is Dom v Trick, but Dragon Lee is the special guest referee. Dragon Lee has been trying to get that title from Dom, but it hasn't worked out too well. But here he is, going to call it right down the middle. Dirty Dom is, spoiler, being dirty. Classic Dom, just doing classic heel shit. He goes to grab the title. He says, I'm out of here. But Dragon Lee and Trick both stop him here, and they start to fight around the whole time. Where did Dom get this shiner? Like, holy, this thing got worse. I
think it was from the match with Dragon Lee on Raw, if I'm not mistaken. I'm pretty sure he mentioned something about Dragon Lee. And Dragon Lee, I don't know if you noticed, but he's been like kind of all over the place. He was on SmackDown, and it looks like he might be getting involved with this LWO Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits feud. So it looks like Dragon Lee's time in NXT might be that much longer. But this is definitely this shiner that Dominic got was definitely from the receiving ends of a Mr. Dragon.
Yeah, it looked even worse from Tuesday because he had it on Tuesday, but damn. So it's Dom who tries to beat down on Trick and start doing, when the ref wasn't looking, trying to get the title involved and stuff. Eventually, Trick comes back. He hits this huge side leg kick and starts he's bigger than Dom, so starts putting the boots to him. And that's when Booker T says that Trick Williams is a superstar and that Trick Williams passes the airport test. Meaning the Vince McMahon airport test. Are you a wrestler? Do you stand out in an airport and you can be a star? Dom comes back.
Did Matt Riddle pass the airport test? Did you see the video of him?
No, I don't think he did. Yeah. No. Yikes. Shout out TMZ. 619 by Dom for a near fall. This is when Dragon Lee and Dom have a bit of a scuffle, and then Dom accidentally knocks down Dragon Lee. You think for being a wrestler, as soon as you put the ref shirt on, you become just fragile and your body just can't take shots.
I don't understand that. Is it like the referee shirt makes you weaker, or you're not wearing the right padding? Like, what is it? That you just get knocked down and you're out for like 10 minutes?
So these two are still fighting and Trick gets an ear fall, but the ref is down. So then in comes another ref and then he gets knocked down. By the end of the night, there's going to be no referees here. Was there a third ref that got knocked down? No, just the two. Right?
Just those two, yeah.
Eventually, Dom gets the title, and then it's Trick who he hits him when that ref doesn't see it. It's Dom who gets countered, and Trick hits his kick, but to Dom holding the title, and the ref doesn't see that, and Trick pins Dirty Dom to become the new North American champion here in NXT, as the crowd give him a huge reaction, a well-deserved, you deserve it chance breakout, and whoop that Trick. But yeah, a definite, like, well-deserved spot. Definitely with Ali being out the picture. We knew Ali would bring some really cool matches to NXT, but this story is kind of getting better and interesting here in NXT. Like the graduation of Trick as he's getting better and better, and here finally winning some singles gold after being called a lackey his whole time here in NXT. I think this is a pretty cool moment, and finally getting the title off Dom and bringing it back to this show. But what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I'm very happy for Trick. Awesome moment for him, obviously. But like the ending of this match, I felt like something was off to the point where like I felt like it was gonna be like a dusty finish because there was way too much stuff going on with the referees getting knocked down and the visual pins and this and that. So as soon like I didn't even want to believe it until like they literally went to the next segment. I'm like, oh, something's gonna happen and Dominic's gonna complain, or like the original referee, like the other referee's gonna come up and say something happened and restart the match or whatever. And I guess they could still do that on NXT on Tuesday. Like Dominic can make up some excuse and get a rematch and get the title back. So like as like the finish is happening, I'm expecting like some sort of like reverse decision to happen. But when it ended, I'm like, oh, that was pretty much it. So like I can't say the match was like great at all, but like the ending was just a little sloppy and all over the place. I'm not sure if like they missed something, but other than that, like it was a great moment and very happy for Trick winning.
Yeah, I'd say Trick isn't in your levels of some of the matches that we can get to in NXT, but I think he's just improving and can get to that level. We've seen him. I don't think this was his best showing, but Dom is the same. I feel like Dom gets like so much heat, and the whole story and the character and everything works so well, but his wrestling definitely has still not improved too much for me, even in his time in NXT. But yeah, this wasn't by far my match of the night, but the moment I think made it pretty special for Trick. Big Trick really winning some gold here in NXT. And basically after we get like a recap of the family. What is it? Tony D and Stax, when they had dinner on Tuesday night. And that's how they decided to figure out who they're going to face at the pay-per-view. That the tag team division, the tag team title division has been in this limbo of how can we find ways to get multiple tag teams in a pay-per-view match. And that's exactly what they did again this week. So which leads to them having dinner. But, as an Italian, Siino, what did you think of their meeting? Because they look like they had some pretty basic, like penne with ragu and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we did something similar at Pasta Lovers in New York City. We all had like a sit down post wrestling, like mafioso style meeting, and that's how we figured out like the different podcast duels they were gonna have. It was all over a dinner, and I feel like our dinner was definitely a little bit more appealing and appetizing, than this.
What do you get? You go to a nice Italian restaurant, Siino. What are you ordering? You getting the clams? You getting the like?
I gotta be in the. I got to be in the mood to get like seafood, but I'll get like a nice like chicken franchise, chicken Milanese. Anything chicken is definitely up there for me. If you want to go with pasta, you can't go wrong with just some basic spaghetti and meatballs, but it's got to be done good. Penne alla vodka, baked ziti,
Oh yeah. You're making me hungry, even though I already ate. But I'm a penne guy. It's my favorite kind of noodle. Like it's got to be the best pasta shape out there. But that's what set up this whole match, which we'll see later. Here's something interesting. Joe Gacy, we see this from last week, what wasn't shown. Joe Gacy walking backstage, and he's upset at himself. He's beating himself up. He's talking to himself, and he's like, "Oh, all my teachings, my everything I've done." And in walks Ava Rain, the young rock, the pebble. She's like, "No, it's fine." And he's like, "No, this tree no longer has roots." And she says, "The schism is dead." And he says, "Go! I have to find my purpose." So there you have it. Pour one out. We lost the Dyad lads, GYV. They're probably going to be gone in a few days by now. And now the schism, 4 roots turn to 2, turn to only 1, to just the soil, because the schism is no more. Wow. How upset are you?
I'm extremely upset. What do you do now? Does Joe Gacy go back and get like his former Evolve teammates and he gets like Eddie Kingston and Swerve Strickland? Oh, they might be a little busy, right?
They're a little busy, I think.
Yeah, I don't know what he does, and like I feel more concerned about Ava. Like Joe Gacy, you can repackage and kind of put on his own, but what do you do with Ava? She's not really ready to be on her own, like as a wrestler. I feel like so. I don't know. I feel mostly like I think she's gonna be the one that's gonna be lost in all this.
Yeah, Ava hasn't shown too much potential since being here. She hasn't even wrestled really. Like she's just been kind of cutting promos by Joe Gacy's side. So I think that she's got to like a little sink or swim here. Get in the ring and start doing your reps and see what if you are into this, like see what you can do, because so far she hasn't shown too much, but she has been just handcuffed with this silly gimmick for a while. And GYV got out, but Joe Gacy, he is someone who's like, I hate all the weird, silly stuff, but when it comes to wrestling, he's actually pretty good. So I don't know what we do with him, but
what they need to do is they need to redo the angle. Like, you know, when they first introduced Stephanie McMahon and what Undertaker kidnapped her and like put her up against like a cross. They got to do the same thing here, but with Ava, and then Daddy Dwayne comes in to rescue her or something. But that's the thing,
Ava joins the bloodline.
I think so. Like somebody needs to kidnap Ava to the point where like Dwayne comes back to rescue her or something. Because I feel like at this point, like
yeah, Dwayne came back. Dwayne didn't come back when they did a whole jerk off Survivor Series thing with the egg and the whole tribute to The Rock. He didn't show up for that. He didn't show up when his daughter was joining a cult, but he just showed up on SmackDown one day just because. It was so bizarre. I don't understand, but yeah, I don't know what we do with Ava, but don't just. We'll see, I guess. But the schism is dead, which I'm okay with. Yeah. No roots, no trees. Maybe it's all because of Dijak, who slapped around a tree and one tree killed the other one.
So now all the roots are just dying because of
yeah. So everyone stop littering and treat your trees nicely. We go to our next match. NXT Tag Team Championships on the line. The champions, Tony D and Stacks, the family, taking on the Creed brothers, Julius and Brutus Creed with Ivy Nile. They got some nice white tracksuits there. They're looking a little Italian mobster there for a bit in their entrance with the
just
white.
A little, yeah.
Yeah. They're also taking on two other teams, which is Humberto Carrillo and Angel Garza, or the Mexican Wolves, as they're looking to dressing like, because they're totally going for the Davey Richards, Eddie Edwards claw thing that they're saying is the mark of their grandfather, which, you know what, I actually love the wrestling of these two. So even though they've been doing some weird vignettes, I still be into them. And the other team, which is OTM, Out the Mud, which is Lucian Price and Bronco Nima with Scripps. And this is a one fall to a finish fatal four-way where you got to tag in and out, but you know how these matches go, and that sometimes doesn't necessarily matter here. We have Stacks and Carrillo start off, which, you know, Carrillo has the lucha ability, but Stacks definitely is like a chameleon when it comes in the ring. He's a young kid, but who's got this silly, you know, Sopranos character gimmick. But when it comes to wrestling, he can match his opponent pretty well, I find. And he was doing some pretty good lucha stuff here. Eventually, Tony is in with him, and they start to mess up are they cousins, Garza and Humberto?
They're cousins, yep.
Yeah. Although they come back and they hit some pretty cool and innovative tag specials, including like this gory special into a cutter, into like a seated drop kick to the face, just things of beauty here. Eventually, Tony D is going up for a move, but just drops down to his knees and starts slamming the mat, yelling in pain because of his knee. And I have to give Tony his flowers here, because I totally bit on like, whoa, did he actually hurt himself? He has injured himself before, and it has sucked. But out come the trainers, no X is thrown, but out comes some trainers, and they eventually don't focus on him at all. They don't talk about it. They don't replay it. He's taken out, and it looks as if the match is like they don't know what to do. So they did a good job of kind of covering this as they start to beat down on Stacks. Eventually, the Creeds come in, and they're just throwing around everyone. Eventually, Brutus has got an ankle lock while Julius is hitting belly to bellies on everyone and doing kip ups. This guy is not a human being. Eventually, he hits a double Northern Lights on both members of OTM. And these are not tiny guys, but the way he was throwing them around made it look like they were very impressive. The Creeds are in control, but eventually OTM come back and start putting the boots to the Creeds. and the Los Lotharios, which I'm still going to call them that. But Tony D makes a comeback. The crowd definitely woke up. He didn't get a huge reaction when they came out for the match, but this story in the match made everyone behind him. He comes in, cleans house, hits Humberto with this huge spine buster out of nowhere, out of midair, which is awesome. He hitting suplex. Everyone then hits a superplex at the same time, which is a great spot.
That was great.
Yeah. And then eventually it's Brutus who hits this crazy springboard Brutus ball to everyone on the outside, leaving, I think it's Lucian Price in the ring for the bada boom, bada bing. And in a shocker here, Tony D and Stacks retain the tag team titles, and Tony selling the knee. And best part was when Tony was being dragged, when he was pushing through the staff, coming out after he already hurt his leg and was coming back into the match. You can just hear him loudly, audibly saying, like, I'm fucking going in there. I'm going back in there. You're not stopping me.
That was amazing. And then after he said that, he headbutted Oni Lorcan. He's like, get the fuck out of my way. And he like headbutted him. I had to give it up to Tony between like the selling of his knee and just like him making his like comeback. He definitely like binged through like Sopranos during the pandemic or something, just trying to get as much like mafioso acting as well. It kind of reminds me of this is a deep cut, but the first Godfather movie when Sonny Corleone beats the shit out of Carlo, who was the husband of his sister Connie, and just beats the crap out of him with the trash can lid. That's like this type of selling that Tony D was doing here when he was messing with his knee or whatever. But I thought this was great. That springboard Brutus bomb was amazing. That 4-way superplex like was fantastic. There was a lot of really fun spots here. I didn't think at any second that Tony D and Stacks was going to lose the titles here. But it's definitely a little bit surprising ending here. And I kind of agree with Stacks. Like that's the only issue with him being like in this like mobster gimmick is that he has to kind of resort to like this brawling technique. So he doesn't really get to show much of his style too much. But when he does, like in matches like this, you're like, oh yeah, this guy can actually wrestle. I forgot this guy's like a pretty fast moving, like young kid who can actually like get down with some of these luchadors here, like Garza and Carrillo.
Yeah, because I'm just remembering when they put him in the ring with like Nakamura on a random NXT.
Oh yeah,
like he was going technical and hard, and like I don't know, he's young and I love his coffee reviews and his rants on his social media as well. So I don't know, I like Stack. I like Tony.
Yeah. So it's funny because he's actually dating Ariana Grace, who's Santino's daughter. So they've actually
they could use her.
Well, it's funny you say that because they've done videos. I think it's on TikTok or some maybe on her Instagram. I've seen some videos where like there's both of them and their chemistry together, and they kind of both have like that Italian Sopranos type of gimmick. So I'm just like, they need to put Ariana with this family because Stacks and Ariana alone have like great chemistry. So I would love to see her as part of the team.
I mean, Tony D'Angelo is Tony Soprano, and Stacks is what? Christopher. Yeah. And Christopher in the show has what? Adriana?
Yeah.
So we got Ariana. There you go.
Adriana. Yeah.
Family is growing.
And do you bring in Paul Ellering as Uncle Junior?
yeah.
He looks like it a little bit, right?
Looks like him. Yeah. Is he Italian? We could.
Yeah, we'll make him Italian. Why not? My favorite part of this match, though, for some random reason, Booker T just like saw Tony D come into the ring and he's like, Linguini. I don't know. He must be a fan of Linguini or something. I don't know. But
who is it?
That was funny. Who is it?
Unless people who can't eat gluten or whatever. But there's gluten-free linguine too, and I'm sure it's good. Someone I'm sure who loves linguine. We see the video vignettes for someone in a dark room watching some Bengals. Don't know why you would do that, but he's also watching WCW. That makes more sense. And then watching the new crop of WWE talent and kind of stays on it. And you see kind of in the darkness the famous looking t-shirt and the flow and kind of the face, the silhouette of a young flying Brian Pillman Jr.
So the one thing I noticed that was a little bit different from this video was obviously he's watching the Bengals because his father played for the Bengals. But when he was watching the wrestling, it was all kids of wrestlers. I'm pretty sure it was like Randy Orton, Dominik Mysterio, the Usos, I think Charlotte. So he was definitely watching like the next generation of wrestlers to kind of like maybe that'll be like his kind of like gimmick, like, you know, kind of hit you over the head that this is a second generation wrestler.
Yeah, I don't know where we go with him in NXT. It's not like this guy is 20. He's actually 30, and he's been kind of doing this gimmick for a while. But I want to support him, especially after that Dark Side of the Ring episode. But, why not? Let's see what he can do. And maybe WWE will be a better fitting place for him, and maybe he'll get some reactions. But we'll see. I don't want to, throw it in the bin right away. But I know a lot of people have already kind of been like, he didn't work in AEW. Wasn't very good. But I'm willing to see what he can do. We see Carmelo Hayes backstage getting ready for his match when Trick Williams walks in and he goes, "Look what I got." And this is when they start to rhyme about California knows how to party, because Trick wants to party later tonight. And Melo's like, yeah. So wait, Trick walks in and Melo didn't know he won yet.
I was gonna say, does Carmelo not watch his matches? That's kind of fucked up.
He's not even watching?
Yeah, like at least like watch on your phone.
That's a little
background.
Yeah, that's a little sus right now. Like, yo, you don't even watch your boy's match?
Yeah, I mean, they could play that into storyline though. Like, you could maybe.
I hope so. That's got to be in the storyline. Yeah.
It might be, honestly, because that's kind of like like a glaring omission, like to have him kind of like not even paying attention to Trick's match. Like, doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it was a planted seed there, possibly, because maybe I don't know if Trick gave him a look or not. Like, yo, you're not even watching. Like, what? He's like, oh, you won the title. Wow, good for you. But he still like supported him.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah. We get our theme song of NXT No Mercy, Ryan Oakes for Heavyweight, which is a good song. Here.
I'm not gonna lie, the song was a little catchy. They kept playing over and over tonight. I'm like, all right, not a song that I would randomly play on my phone, but if it's on, I'll listen to it.
Yeah, I like when NXT is a bit more. Actually, you know what? WWE has been all right and kind of a bit over the place, but NXT uses like rock music still, which fits for like your promo packages.
They got to bring Poppy back. That would be good for like a Halloween Havoc.
Yeah,
maybe have her like actually host the show or something, or do something.
Poppy,
like,
we could use for a live musical performance in NXT. Yeah. It's been a hot minute. Yeah, I went to see Alice Cooper and Rob Zombie, and Nina Strauss. Came out for she's great. She plays guitar for Alice Cooper, and I was like, wait, I've seen her before from wrestling. Wow, yeah. And she's a like guitar queen. She slays. So I love me some. She did NXT stuff, right?
Yep, she did.
Yeah. Legend, Hall of Famer. Well, the next match is the NXT Heritage Cup match. We had this whole tournament, which was worldwide, which had all these wrestlers fighting for this opportunity to face Noam Dar here tonight for the Heritage Cup in a British rounds rules match, which means that there's 6 3-minute rounds. There's a 20-second break in between, and 2 out of 3 falls if you're up by that. That's how it works.
That sounds about right. Yep.
Yeah. And this is Noam Dar defending against Butch, formerly known as Pete Dunne here in NXT. Big fan of him. We get the metaphor, which I think they usually have the best entrance, at least in the PC, but I don't think the entrance with the lights and the setup and the stage worked as well as it does when they've done it like multiple times. I don't know. Something was off because they usually have the best entrance with the bars coming up with all of them standing there. But I don't know. Did you notice that?
Yeah, it didn't really translate as well, I guess. But like you said, in the PC, they probably already have a setup for a weekly thing. I'm waiting for them like on the WrestleMania stage. Imagine a metaphor WrestleMania entrance. How it'll look like Power Rangers. Like it'll look like just them beaming down with the different colors and everything.
Yeah, it's like Powerpuff Girls or something. I don't know. It's pretty cool. So Pete Dunne versus Noam Dar. This starts the first round here where they're countering each other and like pretty fast pace where like they know each other's moves and countering each counter. There's a huge like suplex attempt, but they're landing on feet and countering things. But then it's Dar who hits this like roundhouse to the face of Pete Dunne for a near fall. Pete eventually works in here and he attacks and breaks the fingers and goes for the joint manipulation and does his famous shrug as the camera looks at him. He's going for more finger breaking, but the time runs out, the 3-minute mark. And after it runs out, it's Dar who hits him with that reverse elbow, but after the clock went out. So it's kind of illegal, but the ref is like, hey, come on, man. It's like in boxing, punching the guy like after the bell kind of thing.
Yeah, it's cheap, but like what are you really gonna do about it? The referee can't like disqualify you. It already happened, right?
Dar's like, I didn't know.
At one point during this, I'm pretty sure Booker, instead of Butch, called him bitch by accident. And and you could like hear Vic trying to like cut, like not laugh, and there's like a little awkward silence for like 10 seconds. I caught that.
Or was he calling Noam Dar a bitch because he hit this elbow after the bell?
He might have been, but I actually like that elbow. It's kind of like similar to the Judas effect, right? But the speed that Noam does it just snaps so quick.
Yeah, Noam Dar is definitely chasing Andrade for best swinging elbow. Like that guy, when he connects with that bad boy, it's insane. But Noam Dar does it really well. So the second round kicks off, and it's now Dar who taking advantage of Butch and just starts to beat him, tries covering him quickly. But Butch eventually fights back. He hits a Shining Wizard for a near fall. The Metaphor get involved on the apron, and Mensa hits Butch, which allows Dar to hit him with the Nova Rolla right in the face, the PK Enziguri kind of thing. And it's 1-0 for Noam here as we go into the third fall. Butch then counters a German and sends him out with this huge moonsault to the outside. There's a bitter end, and Butch ties it up as it's 1-1. We go to our fourth round. I forgot to mention Tyler Bate is in the corner of Butch because you need a cornerman to be there with your spit bucket and your towel and to watch over, especially with the metaphor lurking. Round 4, there's like back suplexes and arm bars. Dar is showing his technical side here. Obviously, Butch, Pete Dunne being a real technical, like aggressive wrestler, the bruiserweight. But I think Dar is slept on when it comes to some of his technical wrestling. I really get into it. There's a huge fisherman suplex, like a plex, as Vic says, but not perfect enough. A great call from Vic as it's only a 2 count. There's then more triangles as Dar then falls asleep, but the ref doesn't count he lift up his hand in time as it counts out. So Butch is even more pissed at the ref, like, yo, you're slipping here. As we go to round 5, there's the huge back elbow. There's a superplex. There's a brain buster. They're really killing each other here as they're still just tied 1-1. As we go to round 6, there's then strikes and chops and kicks as Dar then takes the mouth guard out of Dunne's mouth, throws it away, gross, and then hits the Nova Roller. This is when Gallus show up and the referee is distracted. Joe Coffey hits the best of the bells, the swinging lariat to Pete Dunne inside out. Dar just kind of goes, well, I'll take it. The ref didn't see, and Dar pins Butch to retain the Heritage Cup in 15 minutes, 54 seconds, and he kisses the cup. He loves that thing really, really much. And Butch is pissed at Gallus for costing him this match. But what did you think of this technical rounds match?
Yeah, usually I'm a big fan of the Heritage Cup matches, and I'm a big fan of both of these wrestlers. But for some reason, I don't know, like maybe Butch doesn't really mesh well in these type of matches because I feel like he kept looking at the clock too much, like at the end of spots, and like, you could tell like there was a little bit too telegraphed, where it's like he like you could tell he had to like wait a little bit longer as like the time ran out. So because of that, I feel like the ending of every round kind of like made the match lose momentum a little bit. I feel like if they just would have had a straightforward 18-minute match, it would have been so much better than like all these little like spots where you had to like stop it. And then like the ending was a little messy as well with the Gallus coming in and the metaphor on the outside getting involved. So it's like all the shenanigans kind of like messed up the match a little bit for me, but I definitely enjoyed the match. I just feel like if they had a straight up match, it would have been a lot better.
Wow, you're sounding like me every week. I say that too. Like I get that the Heritage Cup is something different. It came from NXT UK. It creates like the whole like sidebar, a whole like league of people who can challenge for it and everything. And he's a bit delusional that he loves this thing more than anything else. But I don't really like the rounds matches as much as I do just to prefer an actual wrestling match, because if you gave these guys 16 minutes just to go one-on-one, I think I would have preferred it. I loved a lot of their moves and submissions. They really went out there and killed it, but I was like, I could just prefer a singles match as well, but we're just boring, I guess, because we want just a straight wrestling match. But Butch lost.
The Heritage Cup, I think, should be like held for like people that we might not see too often, people that we like aren't really used to. Like somebody established like Butch, I don't think he needs to like really be in a Heritage Cup match. But if you put somebody brand new in from like Level Up and you kind of give them these different scenarios, like every round is a different type of style that they can kind of show to the crowd, I think works a little bit better. But somebody like Butch, I don't think fits in the Heritage Cup style at all.
Yeah, I don't mind the thing like the stiff, but I do just prefer like a normal singles match. But I don't know if we'll see Butch here for a while. Oh wait, no. He's got to fight Gallus, which they have announced for Tuesday. Tyler Bate and Butch versus Gallus. So maybe Pete's got to get his Ridge Holland come back.
Yeah, I know Sheamus has been out for with an injury for a while, so maybe they're just kind of take advantage of this time and put in Butch on NXT.
I bet you Ridge shows up on Tuesday to set up a 6-man down the line with Gallus.
Yep,
pure Gallus. Yeah. We go now to our next match, which is the highly anticipated Dragunov Hayes 2, as we get the entrance for Ilja Dragunov, the competitor here in the NXT Championship match. He's got his red, what are they called?
Contact lens?
I don't use contact lenses. Yeah, sorry, I don't use them. When he wears these things, he sees red, which means it's he's in the red zone. He's evil. It's like his demon. He's got a great jacket. His coat is awesome.
It's great. Yeah.
Very fluffy. Looks like he like murdered a wolf. He doesn't have the wolf head, but I did love his jacket here. We have a great entrance for the champion, Carmelo Hayes. He's got the jerseys in the rafters yet again. It shows all the people he's beaten, and it has like a song playing while it has clips of the promos of him just telling each person like back from the feuds, including Braun Breaker, Grayson Waller, Wesley, Dragunov 1, and then Dragunov 2 falls down. And basically he's saying, I'm going to beat you again here tonight. And that's what starts off our match for the NXT Championship. Carmelo Hayes, Ilja Dragunov. Ilja right away out the gate runs at him and goes after him. They start chopping each other and kicking each other. Hayes starts trying to fight back. There's Ilja, gets him in the corner with machine gun chops eventually, and then they're brawling around, and then he hits him in the corner again, just firing off these chops. They look fantastic. Melo comes back and starts chopping him and starts slugging it out with him. Already their chests are very red. There's a jump up into like an enziguri from Hayes, which rocks Ilja here. And then like his backwards slingshot DDT, but almost hits him with like a bulldog instead, which like just sends Dragunov sells sometimes like the Rock selling a stunner, just goes all over the place, which looks crazy. There's then a huge face buster. There's then Melo who gets blocked into like a power bomb, which is crazy. The crowd are going absolutely mental. There's a code breaker, but it's blocked and turned into another power bomb from Ilja. Sorry, he then turns it into a Death Valley driver into the turnbuckle, which is just insane. There's then a coast to coast. Shout out Shane O'Mac. I guess Ilja's a big fan. There's then a knockout elbow, which is like his smash, which should be his finish, but Melo somehow kicks out of this. Dragunov eventually goes up to the top rope and hits a super smash, but Melo kicks out of it, but it looks like his eyes are rolling in the back of his head. Melo's lip has been bleeding. Ilja's now bleeding on his face. They start brawling on the apron when Melo hits this jumping suplex cutter off the apron to the outside, which is just nasty. When they go back in, Melo tries to gain advantage and might be setting up for the nothing but net, but instead he gets dropped, and up top goes Dragunov on the very top rope for the super H-bomb, the super elbow smash off the top, the Red Death, if you want to call it that. 1, 2, 3, Ilja Dragunov pins Carmelo Hayes to become your new NXT champion in 21 minutes and 4 seconds in one hell of a match. What did you think of this?
I freaking love this match. I'll say it every time I watch a show with Dragunov. He is my favorite wrestler out today. And there was somebody like Carmelo, who's one of the best wrestlers out today as well. They just made magic here. Like everything in this match was just spectacular with the coast to coast. And then you had like the like you said, the H-bomb. I like how like he kept stepping it up. He had the regular H-bomb, then he had the H-bomb from the second rope, then he had the super H-bomb from the top rope to the point where he finally got it. When he hit that cutter off the apron, they kind of like went into the camera, so they gave like a really wonky like camera view, which was amazing. But everything about this, even like when Hayes started kicking Dragunov's like fucking like the Brian Danielson style kicking the face in, was just so good. And like just like a little bit of blood here. Like it wasn't like too much, but to the point where you could tell these guys were kicking each other's asses. And I was a little surprised by the finish, honestly. I didn't think that they were going to give it to Dragunov just yet. But I was very happy when they did, and I was very satisfied with this match. And honestly, as soon as this was done, I was like, I don't know how these women are gonna have to like follow this. They definitely followed it for sure. But this match was outstanding. Everything from the beginning intro with the talking from Carmelo over the jerseys up until the final image that we saw. I think this is fantastic.
Yeah, honestly, this is definitely one of the best NXT matches in such a long time. One of the match of the year contenders for sure, especially when it comes to NXT. I don't know if it will be topped this year. This was it. They really had me with their first encounter, and obviously storyline wise, the screwy finish leading to this one, meaning no screwy finish and just a straight up match between the two. Just really like Melo was getting beat up there. And so, like you said, both of them were bleeding, busted open. Their chests were red. Melo really went out there and gave it his all with this mad dragon. But Dragunov's the man. Like,
it's crazy. Like Dragunov, like he's not the biggest guy, but whenever he hits like a power bomb, like when he hit that power bomb on Hayes, it like you would think it's Kevin Nash. The way he like picks him up and just drops him down. It's crazy. Like I don't know how he
Yeah,
does
it's
it.
like a jackknife. Yeah, he threw him with that. He's such a beast. He's like their ace up their sleeve. This guy is insane. Like, this guy's one of the best wrestlers, and just every time he wrestles, it's so good and so believable. He's selling his everything. He's slapping himself in the face to wake up sometimes. He's just vicious. I don't know. Everything about this guy is just, he's so interesting to watch. I cannot wait for this guy to be on the main roster. I'm going to love this run with the NXT title, but Melo had one hell of a run with the title too. He's definitely stepped up. I mean, he's been good, and he didn't need this title anymore. I think he's on to bigger and better things on the main roster, probably involving Lashley and the Street Profits or something along those lines. But honestly, this match was awesome. I'd give it all the stars. 5 fire emojis from me because it really delivered. This was my match of the night. I'm not knocking the main event because we're about to talk about it, and it was pretty awesome too. But wow, this was crazy. Melo don't miss, but Dragunov definitely don't miss either, and he's our new champ. And it opens up like a lot of different possibilities for him to face so many different challengers and stuff. But yeah, wow, what a match. This was a great watch here tonight. We get a commercial for the breakout tournament. Siino, I know you're the guy who actually watches Level Up and everything on Shot in the Dark, but who are some of these people in this women's breakout NXT tournament?
Yeah, so obviously some of these names you're already familiar with, like a Jakara Jackson, Lola Vice, who's been on NXT lately, Danny Palmer, Kalani Jordan, obviously. Ariana Grace just came back from injury, and she's doing like this new like beauty queen gimmick because she is like a legit like beauty queen in Canada, I want to say. Like she's been running like recently. So she's definitely playing that more into like her character now. But as far as some of the newer names they introduced, they had Carmen Petrovic, who actually was Von Wagner's psychiatrist on the one episode of NXT. She's actually from Toronto, and she's like a legit like karate champion. So she
is Ariana Grace. Actually,
I think she's another one.
Santino's daughter. Yeah. So 2 Torontonians here. So wait, sorry, the one from Toronto is
Carmen Petrovic.
And she has like a karate background or something.
She's like basically like a karate champion. That's like her whole gimmick. She comes out with like a sword and everything. Izzy Dame, who's been on Level Up a couple times. I don't really know too much about her. She doesn't really have too much of a gimmick. She's just kind of like a badass girl, I guess you could say. And Jada Parker's the only one I haven't seen wrestle. She is the former Tiana Coffey, who was like a pretty like recent hiring from the PC. I know she did like soccer before, but she has the name Jada Parker, which I know as soon as they copywrote it, people were like, "Oh, that's gonna be Jade Cargill's new name," but actually ended up being her new name instead. So
everyone thought that.
She's the only one I haven't seen in action. I know she's done a couple of, like the Coconut Loop house shows for NXT, but she hasn't been on Level Up just yet. But it starts on Tuesday, so I'm definitely looking forward to it. They also announced earlier that Deadline, which is the next PLE, is going to be in Bridgeport, Connecticut on December 9th, and they're going to bring back the Iron Survivor Challenge for that, which they did last year. I'll probably definitely go to that show because Bridgeport's not too far from me at all. And then they also announced that Halloween Havoc is going to be a 2-week special this week on this month for October 24th and the 31st. So 2 weeks of Halloween Havoc.
Yes, 2 weeks of Halloween Havoc. So it's not going to be a PLE, but we are getting the December. Did they say it's the last PLE of the year? I think so. For
Deadline, for Deadline, it's the last PLE of the year.
For NXT.
For Halloween Havoc, I think maybe Frank brought this up, but I feel like the second week of the Halloween Havoc, they might be going over to Saudi Arabia. So maybe because of that, they might be taping both Halloween Havoc shows back to back. Right. That's why they are doing a 2-week thing, which kind of makes sense. And Halloween falls on a Tuesday, so it makes sense to do Halloween Havoc on Halloween.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be, obviously, every Tuesday night, me and Davie do our post shows. We'll be back on Tuesday because Gallus versus Tyler and Butch announced, as they said here. They had Tegan Knox in the crowd here as well, who gets her match on Monday. She's actually getting the NXT title match. Wow, they finally decided the young and up-and-comer.
Yeah, they actually played up in storyline. Like they had Becky Lynch like backstage with her saying, "Hey, when I called somebody out, I was actually asking for you. Why didn't you come out or whatever?" So they kind of played it in storyline that like she didn't like make it out on time. But yeah, she's getting a nice little push, which I'm happy for Tegan because she's had a lot of obviously a lot of mishaps in her career so far.
Yeah, but me and Davie, we will be doing obviously the Halloween show, but I know Halloween on a Tuesday. Like me and Davie want to go out on Halloween, so we might have to do a hangover edition on the 1st of November as we sip some pumpkin spice lattes and talk about our Halloween night. Because as much as I want to watch NXT, it's a Tuesday night, which, nothing too goes on Tuesdays, except it's Halloween. But we'll see. We shall see. But look forward to the day after. We go to our main event of NXT No Mercy. the NXT Women's Championship on the line. The champion, Becky Lynch, big-time Bex, taking on the Buff Barbie, Tiffany Stratton. This is a rematch because Becky came down to NXT. Tiffany was showing up on main roster. Bex came down here, challenged her to a match for the title. They put on a hell of a match on TV, and Becky actually takes the title from Tiffany, beats her for it, which now we set up this rematch. I thought they did a pretty good job. Big-time Bex, ratings Rebecca, whatever you want to call her, clearly is a ratings draw because whenever they announced her, people would tune in, and I think they kind of realized that, and it's good to see. I really like this storyline with Tiffany as well, as much as I know some people might be sour on her Tiffany losing to Becky. I think it actually does help her in the long run as well as putting on good matches. We have a great entrance Tiffany comes out always looking like $1 million, but Becky has an entrance where it's her walking down a hallway, and it's kind of showing clips of her whole career, starting with the Irish jig, Becky Lynch in NXT, which she's definitely talked about before, how much she hated this, and kind of all the different clips of her throughout her whole career, including main eventing WrestleMania and winning that first ever women's main event there. And then finally, all the way to this storyline. And Becky comes out with a trash can, very Raven at WrestleMania 17-esque. And she's got a t-shirt with all these different things written all over it. One really big you can read. It says Bray, R.I.P., Bray Wyatt. And then like all these other things like you're never going to make it and WrestleMania main event and like Seth's name, her kid's name on it, and all these things written on this shirt as she comes down to the ring with a bunch of weapons looking for a fight here tonight. And she has that. She has got kendo sticks and chairs and tools and a hard hat. She headbutts Tiffany with it. She's got a kendo stick. They now start to fight through the crowd. This is an Extreme Rules match here. As they're fighting through the crowd, they're really going through the crowd. They're like going up through it. They're like fighting up through the rafters, not the rafters, but like up through the alleyways. And like at one point, Becky takes this fan's, what was it? A championship necklace? That's plastic.
They later on said it was her stylist, King Troy, and I looked like it was like a golden chain or some sort of plastic chain or something. So he was somebody who Becky knew. So I guess his stylist, like who always provides her with all the gear and everything, gave her a prop that she would wear, and she used it on Tiffany, and I think busted her open with it because she was bleeding from the forehead quickly. After this.
She was bleeding right away after getting hit. They sell like these weird, almost Flava Flav-esque clocks at WWE shows that are like the titles instead of a clock.
It might have been something with the Becky logo, like the big time Bex or whatever. It could have been one of those things, yeah.
Damn, because stiff is just like nasty. Yeah, like just right to the head. Just crazy. So right away, she's bleeding. They're fighting through the crowd again. People are going nuts. Eventually, Stratton gets Becky and fights back and grabs her arm and starts putting her through like arm bars and stuff through like the crowd, like the bars of the stairs. Eventually, there's then they fight all the way back into the ring, and Tiffany hits this running double stomp for a near fall. Tiffany then goes out and gets a box. What's in the box? Well, there's a giant monkey wrench, which is a good Foo Fighter song. She hits Bex with this. She then gets a chain, wraps it around her hand, and beats Becky with this as well. And then Tiffany grabs a hammer. So stop, hammer time, as she goes to hit Becky with it, but Becky blocks it and hits her in the gut with it. And they start to continue to brawl. But yeah, they got this like big like box of weapons. They're going all out with it.
As this is all happening, like Vic is making some really like obscure references to like the No Mercy video game. He's talking about something that you could do in the game, and Booker just like stops him halfway through, and he's like,
"What,
man? What are you talking about?" Like, he had no idea what Vic was talking about with the game. Like,
he's like, Vic, I'm trying to watch the main event.
Yeah. Vic didn't care. He's like making as many references as to the No Mercy game as he can, but Booker just totally didn't understand any of it. But yeah, I like this Tiffany over here with all these different weapons and just kind of going through a toolbox and going after Becky here. I definitely like this hardcore side of Tiffany.
Yeah, Tiff the Tool Woman Taylor, Tiff the Tool Woman Stratton here, as she's got all the tools to beat Becky. Becky comes back though and hits a Bexplex, and then she then gets the shopping cart, and this looks scary and nasty. She gets Becky into it. This is very Here Comes the Pain and video game-esque, where like you throw them into the shopping cart, and Tiffany goes right into the shopping cart here, and Bex runs it at the steel stairs, which is just crazy. This got a reaction out of me. I was so scared for Tiffany. I mean, we've all been stupid young teenagers who've been inspired by Jackass and play with shopping carts as friends who are like, I'll get in it and just push me. This was terrifying for me, just watching this, like, please don't kill yourself. But she like squished herself right into it there. I thought this was a cool spot.
Yeah, for sure.
Back in the ring, Becky's now got a bag. What's in the bag? Well, Barbie dolls and parts of Barbie, like the legs, torsos, all busted up Barbie dolls. It's like Becky is like a villain in Toy Story here with all these busted up toys. And she starts suplexing Tiffany onto them. And then Tiffany runs away. And then Becky starts throwing them at her with these Barbie dolls. So Tiffany tries to use a trash can lid as a shield. But like, if you're in the crowd, you're probably getting whipped by these Barbie dolls at one point, as Becky then does in fact whip Tiffany with one. Eventually, there's then a bunch of chairs that are brought in. There's body slams and arm bars. There's a power bomb to the steps. There's then a Bexplex on the outside. Becky is missing, and Tiffany can't find her. And when she looks under the ring, there's a fire extinguisher again. There's then a cartwheel on the outside into the barricade. This looked pretty impressive.
That was crazy. That was ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like the handspring into her with the back elbow into the barricade. Like that was pretty cool. Like you don't see that too often. It's kind of hard to time it out, like to the point where like you have to smash through the barricade while hitting this like, you know, fantastic looking acrobatic move. It's kind of hard to do.
She's very impressive. There's then a spot where they get the table, and then she goes up top and tries to put her on the table, and Becky's now laid up, and Tiffany off the top turnbuckle hits a swanton bomb to the table, but I am the table. It doesn't fully give away here. So she rolls Becky in the ring again and hits a swanton bomb a second time, which is just picture perfect looking, but Becky kicks out of this. This was pretty crazy, though. The swanton bomb looked nuts. The crowd still chanting for it as they really wanted that table. Eventually, there's then Becky's now on the outside, and Tiff goes for a moonsault but misses it, landing on her feet. That must have hurt. And then walks into a manhandle slam on the outside, is rolled in the ring. 1, 2, but she kicks out of this. Eventually, she sets up for the You Can't Escape, or the PMS, the prettiest moonsault. But she misses and lands on the chairs as she gets up, holding her gut from the steel chairs. She's met with another manhandle slam onto the pile of chairs. And Becky Lynch pins Tiffany to retain the NXT Women's title in 20 minutes, 19 seconds. The second longest match of the show. What do you think?
This is another great match. Like I said, after the last match, they have a hard match to follow, obviously, but they definitely did their best here. And it's the best that I've seen Tiffany in any match, honestly. And like, there were some spots where I was a little scared too. Like when she did like the swanton off the top rope, she got a little wobbly, whatever. She didn't go through the table, but she still hit the spot. And then like the barricade spot, and then like the ending, the way she kept like trying to hit the prettiest moonsault ever. And then like everything was just so flawless about it. Like this is an amazing match, honestly. This and the last match were obviously the two matches of the show. It's hard to pick one, but I might have to go with the main event, honestly. I love Carmelo and Carmelo's match with Dragunov, but I feel like these two ladies definitely brought it in the main event.
They definitely brought it. I love Becky Lynch. I really loved her steel cage match with Trish. I thought she brought something out of her that I hadn't seen in so long, and this delivered. I love the match on TV, but I like this one even more. Like doing all the hardcore stuff that the guys get to do. They don't do that in WWE too often. We joked about a few weeks ago when Dana Brooke, pour one out, who was like, oh, you got to do hardcore matches and stuff. And it was like using a kendo stick was the whole match. And it was like, well, that's nothing. This, like, there's actual weapons. There was actual blood on both of them. So like, that was pretty crazy for women to be bleeding in WWE on TV is crazy. And like all the different weapons, and like, they definitely took it to like a next level, which I liked. And like some of the spots were pretty crazy. Brian in the YouTube chat, who was there live, said they were booing when they realized it wasn't thumbtacks and that it was Barbie parts. I was a little, I'm not saying I wanted to see thumbtacks, but I mean, I don't know necessarily if Barbie parts would hurt, but I think it was the point being Tiffany is the Barbie the so-called Barbie in NXT.
I think that's what made me pick this match over the previous match was the fact that we don't really see too many hardcore matches with women like this, where they use other weapons that isn't just a kendo stick. So I think because of that, the fact that and they showed a little bit of blood as well, the fact that they kind of went the extra mile, it definitely stood out more. Not saying that like the Dragunov Carmelo match isn't like an amazing match. It was obviously, but we see a lot of those type of matches, right? We don't really see too many women's hardcore matches that kind of take it to this next extreme, like Tiffany and Becky did tonight.
Yeah, I like this match, but I did prefer the Ilja, but this was great, and she can stay on NXT. There's so many different people and competitors that she can go against and fight and set up other stuff. I'm sure she'll stick around for another month or so with the whole deadline in early December and 2 weeks of Halloween. I'm sure she'll be around here for a little bit. I would like to think so. But yeah, this was great. I like to see Becky get violent, and same with Tiff. I think she really stepped up and proved herself that she will be a big star when she makes it to main roster, which she'll like absolutely kill it. She can do hardcore, she can do promos, she can do backflips, she can bleed. Like, damn, like very, very impressed from obviously Becky Lynch. You know, she's been doing this stuff, but Tiffany definitely impressed. Like, I think she can be a huge key player in WWE. But overall, yeah, this was a pretty hot show, right? Like some great matches. Obviously, you gave us two really hot back-to-back matches as it ended with Becky celebrating, saying, you know, the two back-to-back matches got standing ovations from the crowd here in Bakersfield, who just absolutely loved it. Should mention, right after Becky is shown holding up the title, it cuts to Trick and Melo gang. And Melo comes in just almost basically sobbing here and says, like, I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. And he's like, no, don't worry, says Trick. You still him. You still him. He said, I'm sorry, bro. And Trick says, don't worry. Don't be. I'm proud of you. You gave everything. And they kind of hug it out as NXT goes off the air here tonight. So what to come with Melo and Trick? Now Trick's got a title and Melo's got nothing.
Yeah, definitely an interesting way to end the show. And even like I was trying to like read Trick's face, and he kind of had this look like, damn, now I'm the champion, and like I gotta like console him. It was kind of like the roles were reversed a little bit. That's the kind of like feel that like Trick gave me here. But yeah, definitely should be a very interesting twist in the storyline. Obviously, I don't see Carmelo getting called up right away, but it should be pretty soon. But I'm really intrigued on how they're gonna do this Trick Carmelo, because I don't want to see them break apart, but I do want to see them have a match. So maybe like some competitive sportsman-like matches. But I was also thinking this is the first PLE since the TKO merger. So you would think there might be some TKO people that might have been watching some of these people for the first time. And they might be like, why is this Tiffany Stratton? Why is this Carmelo Hayes Dragunov not on Monday Night Raw, not on SmackDown? So I could definitely see that a lot of these people like being viewed for the first time, and maybe some early moves to get them kind of called up right away.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially like Dragunov, right? Like anyone from UFC watching this for whatever reason, we're like, damn, who's this guy? This mad dragon slapping the piss out of someone would be pretty impressive. Yeah, I thought this was a great show. Everything had its place. I really got into the tag team match. The Creed brothers are just always impressive, and Tony and Stacks were pretty entertaining. And everything. I didn't necessarily hate anything. And I think they even drove some stories home to kind of tune in, because if you have been following NXT, the Trick and Melo stuff has been pretty good. And, you know, maybe Melo is now looking at that A title, North American Championship, and what's going to happen. Will he go to the main roster? We will get some call-ups, I'm sure, like you said, Dragon Lee, possibly. Maybe Tiff doesn't win the title back and she goes up as well. Like there's a few options and some stars that could be making waves over on the main roster. But yeah, solid show from NXT. Really love this. NXT has still got like this like 2.0 Degrassi high thing, but in between it, there's like actually really good wrestling on Tuesday nights, and on their PLEs, they tend to deliver just like this one. But really loved it. And Melo Dragunov too, like I said, best NXT match in a very, very long time. Just absolutely delivered. So really enjoyed watching this here tonight. There is some feedback from some people to see what some people thought of this show. First, we got where did it go? We had a super chat from Jake, and I lost it. So sorry, Jake. But
it's okay. I got it right here.
Okay.
It says, "Wonderful PLE, happy birthday, No Mercy." Thank you a lot, Jake, for that.
Nice, excellent. Follow the Poisonrana Facebook page, which leads you to the Poisonrana Facebook group, and follow that and join the group. We share a lot of memes, and there's a chat and all sorts of fun stuff. But I post feedback threads up for Up Next every Tuesday and here tonight that I will read here for you. And I'm going to start off with Manny from Pacoma, who writes in, "Long live the Czar. Another amazing NXT PLE. Every match delivered. The Garza dynasty with gear homage to Blake and Murphy and Los Perros del Mal. Julius Creed proving once again he's a star. The Brutus Cannonball is always a treat to see. BSS reuniting this Tuesday to take on the Gallus boys and their entrance theme, which sounds like a Ford commercial. Yes, boy." Okay, Manny, their old theme was legit a Ford commercial theme. Yes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. He continues. Becky and Tiffany have amazing chemistry. I look forward to more future matches. My pick for the breakout tournament finals is Carmen Petrovic versus Lola Vice. Braden, since you're a huge fan of the rounds matches, you should definitely check out Modern Age Grappling on Halloween. Shout out John Siino. See you at the Tiffy Top. Toodles. What's Modern Age Grappling on Halloween?
I think it's a wrestling show. I think it's a wrestling show that's pretty much like the British round style. So definitely something that would be up your alley.
Is that like local? Is that what, like, I don't know what that is, but all right.
I'm sure it's something else you probably see.
It's in Georgia.
Okay. So
yeah.
You going?
No, I'm not going.
Okay.
No, sadly not. I will be going to the Demand Lucha Lucha Halloween show in a few weeks in Toronto. I definitely recommend that because it's going to be crazy. But Manny, you're mentioning that Los Lotharios had the Blake and Murphy gear. Is that because one of them's got the cut up shorts?
Right. They had like the
Blake
little
and Murphy.
Yeah,
never forget the Dubstep Cowboys. Yeah.
I can read the next one here from Muggin, who says, "No Mercy came through and delivered arguably a takeover level show. Smart choice to have Bron and Corbin start to get the heel versus heel match out of the way. Crowd would have been dead if it was in the middle of the show. The national nightmare is over. Trick Willie brought the North American title back home despite some overbooking and Dom's dirty deeds. Bit him in the ass. Judgment Day had one less show to take over. Tag title 4-way was hectic fun. Ilja and Melo took being second to last very personally. It was another match of the year contender. And with a new champion on top of that, it was fucking awesome. Hats off to both men. Tiffy 2-time was not to be, but she more than earned a lot more respect with that Extreme Rules match. NXT continues on with a killer main event to cap off a sick night in Bakersfield. Tegan Knox is going to get her shot on Monday, and I'm looking forward to it. The PS scene spells Trick Mellow Gang Warfare. Happy birthday once again, Siino. Thank you, Muggin.
Thank you, Megan. And then Nas from NYC writes in, "I hate to start with a negative. I don't watch week to week, so this might make sense for people who do, but by my calculations, there were 10 slots for singles wrestlers on this pay-per-view. Did we really need to waste one of those slots to Baron effing Corbin, especially when he beats a guy by being built to be one of the futures of the company? Also, didn't agree with Dom losing because if you are going to do the title change, should have allowed Dragon Lee to win it on Raw. Everything else was fucking awesome. Ilja is my new favorite wrestler, and Becky is the female GOAT of WWE." Damn. I mean, I wasn't too keen on Braun winning either, but on Corbin winning either, but it's whatever. I think Braun could be going up. I mean, we've said that for probably a year now, but I think it's time soon.
And Nas, I think people like Corbin now. I think he's finally coming around. He's burning all these ships now to the point where
no one likes Corbin.
Braden loves Baron Corbin now, so you might not listen to him on a weekly basis talk about his love for burning the ships.
Yeah, my absolute favorite. Who's your Baron Corbin in the world of wrestling?
Oof.
Who's like your Baron least Corbin. Favorite? Everyone's got a least favorite wrestler.
That's a very good question. I don't know.
Who's your Baron Corbin?
I hate to pick somebody. I don't really have anybody that like screams like, I don't know, like change the channel.
I bet you Baron Corbin is a great guy, but I just cannot stand that. It's X-Pac. I love X-Pac. It's X-Pac heat of just go away. I just don't care whatsoever. I do have the same feelings toward The Miz sometimes. The Miz has done some good stuff, but I guess
Nia Jax now because this recently biased, but like her, whenever she's on screen, I'm just like, oh, does she need to be on a segment? So yeah, if I had to pick somebody, I guess Nia Jax. I'm sorry.
No, but it was a good show tonight, though. NXT, Diggity Dog, No Mercy, delivered for sure. And NXT's on quite of a run. Like, if you're someone who does maybe cherry pick, like, they do have at least once a week, there's like a banger of a match on Tuesday nights. And here, like, you got this incredible match as well, and some. So really, really fun stuff, and enjoyed watching it. And I'm excited. There's more wrestling this weekend. Obviously, Wrestle Dream tomorrow night, or by the time you're listening to this, tonight, which I'm super excited about. We got some friends coming over, and some of these matches I have been waiting for a very, very long time. Swerve versus Hangman, Danielson versus ZSJ. Like, everything on this card looks awesome. So I'm super stoked about this, and can't wait to give some thoughts. Probably Tuesday night on upNXT, I might give some thoughts on it.
I have a question, though. Would you ever have booked in your wildest dreams Athena, Billy Starks, Keith Lee, and Satoshi Kojima versus Diamante, Mercedes Martinez, Lee Moriarty, and Shane Taylor?
Yeah, I can't believe that's a real match. I mean, Shibata's on the card too, but what the hell is that? Is Kojima gonna elbow someone in the dick?
I guess, yeah.
I hope so.
Again, it worked out well for him last time, yeah.
Yeah, he sent him packing. Yeah. Wow, that sounds wild. I mean, they also added Barnett, right?
Josh Barnett versus Claudio Castagnoli. So
Barnett.
I think it was supposed to be Barnett versus Moxley, and obviously what happened with Moxley.
Ridiculous.
Kind of had to replace him. So
and are we getting You Think You Know Me?
I don't know.
Adam Copeland?
Like Tony's been hyping up like this new era of AEW, right? So is Adam Copeland going to be the person? Era? No idea. Is Adam Copeland going to be this in? The Cope.
Maybe
era.
It's the new Undisputed Era.
Ooh.
Kyle's back. The new era, right? The new era
could be with that segment they had on Dynamite with the mask band. Yeah, they maybe that's the new era.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm just looking for. I mean, I think the obvious choice would be like the Kingdom, Roddy, maybe Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, maybe. I don't know. Bring everybody back.
Yeah, do it. Why not? And one day we'll get Undisputed Era versus the Elite. One day. Siino, thank you for spending your birthday evening here with me chatting about some NXT. You're going to be back talking about Wrestle Dream tomorrow with Mr. John Pollock, the GOAT of this wrestling podcast shit. I'm excited to hear that show. I'm excited for you guys to chat all about it. I'm sure it's going to be a fun show to talk all about. Where else can people hear you? Because I know you've been podcasting like a madman.
Yeah, absolutely. On the Poisonrana feed, 2 new shows this week with myself. The first one would be Detroit. What Up, Though? Talking about, we thought it was going to be the season finale of Heels, ended up being the series finale of Heels. So talking about that, kind of going through Heels as a whole, and kind of like fantasy booking what we would do for a 3rd season of Heels if it were to come to be. We talk about some Halloween movies that we're seeing or that we have seen recently. We talk about our favorite Kevin James movie for some reason. Somebody in the Poisonrana chat asked us.
It's Hitch, bro. It's Hitch.
What our favorite Kevin James movie is. So we talk about him a bunch, and just overall fun. Just talk about music and movies and video games and whatever else is fun in their lives. And we read a lot of your feedback, and a lot of the listeners tell us what they've been watching and listening to lately as well.
Yeah, it's a super fun show. You guys held the fort down a few weeks back when we were away, so thank you guys for that. Everyone follow Poisonrana.ca. Hit that subscribe. Me and Davie do so many other podcasts over on our own feed. Yes, we do NXT reviews on Tuesdays, but Sundays at 2 p.m. Usually we go live on Sundays and chat about everything like AEW Dynamite, Collision, SmackDown, everything going on, including like all the different pay-per-views. And I know Davey's going to be going live 2 p.m. tomorrow with an announcement of another podcast coming over on our feed as well. So many podcasts. We just did a best match ever, Bray Wyatt, where me and Davey looked at the best matches and moments and memories of The Fiend and everything in between, which was just a super fun show and just honoring and remembering the late, great Bray Wyatt. So check that out. It's free on our Poisonrana podcast feed. And hey, if you like us, there's even more podcasts. In the spirit of No Mercy, we reviewed No Mercy 1999, featuring the iconic ladder match, plus Midian versus Godfather.
Whoa, that's
a dream match for some people. Also, Val Venus takes stinky poops. Listen to us chat all about that over on our Patreon. We did a review of Escape from New York as well. We do so many other podcasts. And check out our Spotify links now with the Patreon. If you're a Spotify user, it gives you a whole other feed there, which is so accessible and super cool. So go check out all the other stuff we have in the archives because we podcast a lot. But Siino, happy birthday again, my friend. I will be talking to you soon, I'm sure. And everyone out there listening and hanging out in the YouTube chat. Appreciate everyone supporting, and we'll be chatting again soon. I myself, Braden Herrington. You can find me Twitter, Instagram at the Bray D. Did you already give yours?
Yeah, you can find me at Siino Evil, CNOEVIL on all your favorite social media platforms.
No Mercy here tonight. That's it. That's all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And diggity dog.